Hey, this is Justin Douglas. This is the third video for MasteryTree, and I am actually parked just outside of my the dream house that I built. I was planning on living here forever, and it's actually under contract right now. And I thought it'd be appropriate to start with that. In fact, I'll tell a little bit of the story on that. If you ever had like New Year's resolutions or dreams or any of that kind of stuff where you kind of had an idea of how it was going to be, and especially if it lined up with someone else's dream, sometimes it can get away from you. And people talk a lot about, how to push through obstacles and how to overcome things and to move forward past your fears and have more faith, and just the idea of how to achieve things, right? And the funny thing is I've gotten quite good at achieving things in the past, and most of those things tended to be a big part of that was someone else's agenda. That it was their dream and not so much mine. Or if it was timeline or the method or whatever. There's things that had conflicts with me and my values. And so the thing is that the reality is I made those choices, and I hopefully have learned from the things that have not turned out well. I can tell you, there's so many things. I had a friend who, Scott, he ran a 50-mile race, and at the time, I've never ran a marathon even, and at the time when I heard that, I thought, that's awesome. For some reason that excited me, and I thought, that's on my list now. I'm going to run 50 miles. And I got really excited about it. That was way more inspiring to me than to train for a marathon. And for whatever reason, that triggered, and part of it was because of who Scott is to me, and his example. And the thing was, as I started to train for that, I realized really quickly, okay, what I thought that I wanted is not really, this is not the goal that I need to pursue. The cost is too high. And the same thing with this house. Definitely, I found that to be the case. The cost was way too high. I did, it is achieved, is built. A lot of crazy things happen, miracles happen, all kinds of stuff. Anyways, it's a chapter of my life that feel like I've learned so much from. And the thing is it's that recognition too of, it's not so much about overcoming the things. It's really matters. It's important to make sure that whatever you're pursuing matters, and that there's a way for it to help the other things that matter in your life and not cause problems to the things that matter. So to start off, with MasteryTree, and we've talked about, I've talked about the idea of my biggest limiting belief was not being good enough, and then that hope or that faith to move forward. The thing that I want to teach a whole workshop on the creation process of the things that I've been able to accomplish, and it's set up in a way that really makes sense to me, and hopefully I can do it in a way that makes sense and is able to be mostly just applied. And that's the thing. So for today's video, I want to tell a little bit of story, and then I want to give you a tool to apply it. It's something that is, I paid a lot of money to have access to this tool, and it really it's been shocking to me how, like a lot of tools, it has a very specific value, like a use. You can use it for, I guess, multiple jobs, but it's like when you have the right tool, a job becomes easier to do. And so, and when I say it as a tool, it's just a series of questions. When I first heard that term, Tony Robbins said, I've got a tool for you. And basically like asked a couple questions, and I was like, he just called it that so that I would think that there was some value that I just gained from that. And I realized one of the most valuable things that there is the right questions. The right question can make a massive difference. And so I have 4 questions that I would challenge you to ask. And I think when I say it now, this is the timing right now. It's New Year's resolutions are coming up. New Year's is this weekend. But the reality is there's not a reason to wait for a special occasion. I say that because I've tried to do that. I've tried to find meaning. I've chosen specific dates because they seemed like they would be meaningful, like anniversary times or just whatever, this date and this time in history, whatever. There's a thinking that I somehow gain more value or more momentum or more motivation because the timing was more meaningful. Or I would be ready by, when I have my birthday or whatever. Like, the reality is it's just a date. It's just a time. The time right now is when you can change everything. Even if this is, whatever, January 31st, right, or January 3rd, however long that you made it of your New Year's resolution, and maybe it feels like you stopped and tripped up and think, well, I'll wait till next year or whatever. This is the time to do it now. And so here's the 4 questions. So, and when I say these questions, there's not like a particular reason why they're in a certain order. There really isn't. I've done acronyms. Like if for me it's meaningful, but there's no... Sometimes people will put some kind of acronym or say, this is my system, this is my framework. I'll tell you what it is just because it's fun for me. There's a lot of things that I think people dress up and it kind of loses the value because they try to make it form to their word, like if they have, or some their phrase or their terminology, instead of just following the principle. And so I call it core because, like, for me, it is the core, the fundamental. If I am thinking, go back into the MasteryTree, the idea of a tree, I've got a trunk. If I start to think I want to grow these kind of leaves or this kind of fruit, like, first it matters. I have to grow a branch in that direction, and the branch has to go out, and then it's going to have maybe some smaller branches, and then the leaves, and then the fruit. Like, right? There's an order to things. The core is the central. Like, this is the foundation, and the reason I think this is so important. I've done this many times in my life, where Stephen Covey talks about it. He says that the worst thing you can do is climb up a ladder only to find out that it was against the wrong wall. And I feel like I've climbed so many ladders and thought, wow, this is not what I thought it would be. This is not what I want. What am I doing here? And so this is to avoid all of that. The 4 questions, it's current reality, and so for core, it's current reality, like, so that's the C. O is your outcome, but it's really just the future. Like, what do you want the future to be like? And really, both of these, as far as the principles go, this is the scoreboard. And it's so valuable to have a scoreboard because we can self-deceive so easily. It's so easy to think that we are doing better or doing worse than we actually are. And so this exercise and this tool that I'm going to give you is it's a method to have a real scoreboard, something that at least is going to help give some perspective to make sure that whatever ladder you're climbing, it is going up the right wall, that you'll be happy with that. So, and then the next 2, so we had C-O-R-E. I haven't written it out because this is that's just my old term, but R is for the risks and E is for the energy or the excitement. But the principles really go to, there's painful things in our lives. There's reasons why we want to move away from something in our current state. And if the scoreboard, if we see that the score is not what I thought it would be, this is what the time is on the clock, and I really feel like I'm behind, and I need this to change. I need to somehow get ahead from where I'm at. And then the other part, the pleasure, like the idea of this potential of like what drives me, what is exciting about this future state that I'm working towards. So again, the four things, and I call them 4 reference points, because to me the idea of a reference point is it gives you a chance to see clearly where you are now, where you want to be, what actually drives you, like that you're trying to get away from now, and also that you're trying to go towards. And so the thing about the drivers too is it's not even, so here's a valuable thing. There's a reason why you are where you are right now, as far as the behaviors. Like we can have our values, we can say this is what really matters to me, and then find ourselves cycling through behaviors that go totally against what our values are. And it's maddening, and it's one of those things why people can make so much money by saying, read this book and, whatever. And whether it's with, food and dieting or exercise, whatever it's you're trying to accomplish, the thing is we do everything for a reason. And there is these 2 motives of we are moving away from something that's scary to us, and we're moving towards something that feels good. Those are involved in the things that we're doing that are serving us, and also we're doing the same things. We're getting some benefit out of the things that we are probably being disturbed by. And so when I ask myself these questions this year, I was surprised at the answers. And this is I've gone through this I don't even know how many times. And so my answers are they're more clear and more meaningful to me because I've taken the time to keep checking my scoreboard, if that makes sense. The first time, I'll just tell you the first time that I did this, and I probably should have had that paper, but I didn't have this scripted. I wasn't going to tell the story, but it'll probably make more sense with the tool. So, Dean Graziosi, he's a guy who I really admire and look up to. He's just really fun, and he definitely has more energy and enthusiasm than I guess in a lot of ways I aspire to be like Dean. He has a heart of gold. He wants to serve people and deeply, and I recommend anything that he has. I loved his books. The Mastermind is where I was able to learn this from, and he taught me a tool, and it's called 7 Layers Deep, I think is what he called it, but 7 layers. Anyways, I don't always follow 7, and he said that 7 is not like a magical number where once you hit 7, like that's it. Anyways, and it's a tool that's been around for a long time. It's not just, and he said he didn't come up with it either, but the funny thing is he said, take a look at the goals, things you're pursuing right now. He says, just tell me why. Why are you actually trying to accomplish this? And I thought for a second, and I was like, I wrote down something that was kind of just generic. It was, because life will be better. And as I started thinking about that, and I was like, yeah, that's, and he said, okay. So he says that you've said you want to accomplish all these things because life will be better. And, gosh, this is something I need to cut this out and splice it.